they want you to figure out if these two lines are parallel to each other, perpendicular to each other, or neither of those two things. Now, parallel lines have the exact same slope because they run side by side to each other. So, for example, if I had y equals 2/3 x plus 1, and I had another equation y equals 2/3 x minus 2, you can see they have the exact same slope. However, why is my thing doing this? However, they have different y-intercepts. So like one of them's at +1 and the other one's at -2. Okay, so the orange one crosses the y-axis at -2, and then it has a slope of 2/3. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, and over 1, 2, 3. And there is the orange line. The blue one crosses the y-axis at +1, but it also goes up 1, 2, and then over 1, 2, 3. And I'll draw that line. And you can see they run side by side. They never touch each other. And so they have the exact same slope, which you can see right here. They are both the same slope. It's 2/3. Now, that's parallel. Parallel lines have the exact same slope. If you want perpendicular, all right, perpendicular lines, that's a perfect T. When you have a perfect T, which is actually a 90-degree angle right here, those are perpendicular lines. It's literally the definition. Two lines that intersect at a 90-degree angle are called perpendicular. Well, to get perpendicular, I need another color. Let's go with that color. What you're going to have is an opposite reciprocal slope. Okay? How about we cross it at 3? So here's an example of a perpendicular line. It crosses at +3, and then it goes down 1, 2, 3, and 2 to the right. And when I draw that line in, I get that perfect 90-degree angle right there. You have to have, if one slope is 2/3, the other one for perpendicular is going to be the opposite sign. So if 2/3 is positive, I need a negative. And then I have to flip 2/3 over to its reciprocal. And that's a -3/2. So if they have opposite reciprocal slopes, then they'll be perpendicular. And if the slopes are just totally different, there's nothing, they're not the same and they're not opposite reciprocals, then we're falling into the neither category. So I hope that explains how you can, determine if two lines are parallel or perpendicular or neither. And you'll notice that when I wrote these three equations up here, as I was explaining it, they were all in the y equals mx plus b form, so that all I had to do was look at the slope. So what I'm going to need to do is take the two equations that they gave me, which they're both in standard form. You got something x and a something y equals a something, and solve them for y. All right, so I'm going to have to erase all this lovely work that I put on here a few minutes ago and clear the screen to make room for the work I'm about to do. So take the two equations that they gave you, solve them for y. You're putting them in the y equals mx plus b form so that you can see what their slopes are. All right, so let's go with, where's red? Here's a red color. All right, so I am going to subtract 3x on both sides here. That's going to leave me with the negative 4y equals, because remember, 3x minus 3x cancels out. And then on the other side, I'm going to put the minus 3x in front of that positive 6. I'm trying to make it look like y equals mx plus b. All right. And then I'm going to rewrite this all in one color before I show the next step. I have to divide off the negative 4. And we did this earlier on a different problem. Negative 4 over negative 4 is a positive 1. So I have a positive 1y, or just y. And then this slope right here, if you can simplify it, simplify it. The only thing I can do is, since it's a negative 3 over a negative 4, call it a positive 3 over a positive 4. And it really doesn't matter what I do with that plus 6 over negative 4. It's a positive divided by a negative, which means it's a negative. And 6/4 actually reduces down to 3/2. But all I'm really interested in this problem is my slope. That's my slope right there. Okay, and now we're going to do the same thing, but on the other one. So I am going to subtract the 8x from both sides. That cancels that. So I'm left with 6y equals, and I'll put the negative 8x in front of the plus 6. And then the next step is you're going to divide off the 6, and you have to divide it on everybody. And 6 over 6 leaves me with y. And then negative 8/6 would reduce to a negative 4/3 x plus 6 over 6 is 1. And now I've got to look at this one. Now I can tell you right now they are not parallel. If they were parallel, they'd be the exact same slope. So they're not parallel. Are they perpendicular? This one is positive, this one is negative, and 3/4 and 4/3 are reciprocals. So that makes the answer perpendicular. They are perpendicular because they're opposite reciprocal slopes.